Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats with GourmetQuilter. I'm Susan Clare, GourmetQuilter, and we're doing a series of applique. We're doing a series of things that you might find in your sewing room. So there's quite a few that we've already done here. There's 20 different appliques, and we're on number 12 at the moment. So we're doing one a day for 20 days. So this is day 12. There's a pattern available through GourmetQuilter.com. It's a downloadable pattern. It also comes out each day, and there's a video each day with each block as well. So the pattern is going to look something like this. It's available through GourmetQuilter.com. It's called 2020 Tasty Treats Sewing Room Applique, and all the shapes are ready for tracing. So this time we're doing like a dressmaker's model for making clothes on. I don't own one of those. However, I thought it looked quite nice. I'd quite like to own one, but I don't. So I'm going to sew one instead. And it's got a sort of a framed skirt arrangement sitting on it, just because I thought it looked nice. So I've already started positioning everything, so it's a lot of little strips to make this skirt. So the dressmaker's dummy aspect was relatively simple because it's just the body piece and then a stand, but the stand has got a little twiddly on it, so I've positioned some of it, but I've left one here. Rather than try and cut it all out of one piece, because it's quite tricky to get into those shapes, I thought it was easier to do it in a couple of pieces like that and just position them, and we can stitch around them. And then I've just started positioning this framework. So I did need to find, because these pieces that go across, it's sort of like a large mesh arrangement. Everything needed to match here. So I used my lower piece to help me position the sides. And so now I can just start positioning these ones across, so that everything lines up really nicely. And I think it's all going to look really good. Not sure where this one goes. Put the top one in, I think. Help me visualise where everything's sitting. This one goes across here. This one's sort of in the middle. This one can probably just come up a touch now that I've got that middle one in place, and there's one more to go, and that should sit up here quite nicely, I think. So the edges are lining up reasonably well, as if that framework is going round. So I think that's all looking kind of fun. I quite like the look of that. So I'm going to iron everything in place, and then I can go to the sewing machine. Oh, so the only other thing that I did do on the pattern, there's a little marking where the neck is, because they usually have that sort of solid bit at the top. So I've just marked that with a pencil so that I don't forget to sew it. And I'm free motion stitching, so I'm going to pop it onto some batting as my stabiliser. It's just a light cotton batting. I find it sits really nicely when I'm stitching. And I'm going to go to the sewing machine and do some free motion stitching. I've got a free motion foot on, and I've dropped my feed teeth. So now I have to decide where I'm going to sew, because we've got kind of lots of little spaces in here that we've got to go around. Another option could have been to have done all the down ones first and then come back and iron the top ones on. I think I'm going to take a look here, and I'm just going to start going around these ones that go across. Just this one at any rate. Got to start somewhere. All the way around that top little one, and then I'm going to come down the side here, so I can come all the way down the outside edge here, and all the way along here. And we can come all the way back up the outside here, I think, as well. We might as well set the framework in place, and then we have to start doing all the little bits in between. So I'm just going to come down the inside of the outside. Sounds funny. And I'm going to come across here And as I come across, I think I'm going to come up these little pieces in between each time. I'm just going over a little bit of stitching a second time just to get to where I want to be, but I think it's probably a good idea to be where I want to be. And I think I'll come down here again, come out, and we'll do the same thing going along this edge, but I'm just going to go all the way across this time. And then come down the inside of the outside again. And as I come across, so you can kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm when you find where it is that you're happy to be sewing. I'm going to have to come back and do the little body part a little bit later, I think. So you can stop and start and do all of these as separate little pieces if you wanted to. It's just quite easy to just keep going when you're doing something like this. I think I'm going to stop here and start again somewhere so that I'm not running everywhere all the time. So to do these little pieces in between here, for instance, I would just need to come in and just start and stop there, because we don't want to be stitching over areas that are intended to be in front, because it will show. It's good to try and keep the perspective that we think should be there. It does help visually if it looks like it's behind. So I think you get the hang of that now. So I'll keep going and do a little bit more of this framework and then come back and show you how to do all the legs and things. So I finished doing the skirt and the body shape. So now I've just got this fiddly thing to do at the bottom here, the little stand. I'm just going to snip off my thread so it doesn't get in my way. And I think when I'm here, I'm just going to come onto this decorative little bit and go around that now. And then I can come back onto the actual leg bit and the base here. And we can do the same thing on the other side. So I think I'll come back up and go in the same as I did just here. And that's the end of the stand. So that actually is all finished now, that applique. So we'll give it a press and we'll put our dressmaker's model in our sewing room. It's coming together really nicely. I think that's looking fantastic. I'm really pleased with my sewing room so far. So that was applique number 12, and I will see you again with the sewing room applique number 13.